الفاتحة. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الصلاة والسلام على خير خلقه أشرف الأنبياء المرسلين خاتم النبيين سيدنا مرسلين حبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم محمد. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. السلام عليك يا رسول الله. السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين. السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء سيدة النساء العالمين. السلام عليك يا حسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة. السلام عليك يا علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. السلام عليك يا إمام المهدي يا صاحب العصر والزمان. السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. Just to recap briefly what we spoke about yesterday, we had mentioned the ability for human beings to achieve and to reach perfection, and that every human being has that ability to do so, that we are able to, contrary to the belief of the opening statement of many of our citizens, that nobody is perfect. It is true nobody is, but like I clarified yesterday, that Allah has given us the ability to achieve it. And there is a difference between progression and perfection. Tonight, we are going to talk about the status of human beings. Your status, my status, every human being, and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us such a position that no other creature has that position that Allah has given. You see, the Quran, and we'll touch upon the Quran a lot, the Quran speaks of individuals as well as the general human being, the human race, the humankind. When it talks of the individuals, we're talking about people like Fir'aun. And then when it talks about other prophets as well as individuals. But then it also talks about human beings. Ya ayyuhan nas, ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, where it talks about everyone in general. This is where Allah gives message to everyone. You and I included, including the prophets in some cases. And we must understand that when Allah created us, He created us in such a way that you and I can adapt to any surrounding. Let us go back to the Stone Ages. You can imagine if you were to take someone from the Stone Ages and just bring him in 2010, he's going to go crazy. Because for him, there was no transition. But mankind is such that over the years, they are able to translate their whole being, their entire body, their entire mind from one place to another. And as we move along, we can adapt. Animals do not always have that capability. How many animals have become extinct? Why? Because sometimes the climate is changing, they cannot adapt, so on and so forth. But human beings can. And then you imagine a creature so big as an elephant. A human being can subdue that creature, can train that animal. Elephants are huge. I know, I come from Africa. They are big. It's like a tree trunk, one of their legs. And I went up close and personal to one of them. I did get hit by the trunk, by the way. And I was pushed back about a few feet. What an experience. Not many people can say that. But these creatures are so big, and yet mankind can train them as well. We can train horses, we can train lions and tigers. And we ourselves are so small. If you've been to Six Flags in New Jersey. I went there a few years back. We were driving around and you see a tall giraffe, and the giraffe puts his head down and takes its tongue and tries to lick the window. The tongue is this big, bluish in color. This big tongue. Yet it is an animal which has such a big tongue that cannot speak. You and I have such a small tongue, but we can talk, we can communicate with each other, read our thoughts. Yes or no? Look at the creature that Allah has created, the mankind, so powerful. It can adapt, it can train, it can do anything, it can reach certain heights. Today you see in 2010, where has man reached when you compare man with 30, 40 years back? No, 100 years ago. Where have we reached? What is the potential for man another 100 years from today? We can only imagine. Recite a salawat, please. And we are all different. Someone's a doctor, someone's a lawyer, someone's a speaker. Imagine if we were all bakers. Life would be boring. There'd be nowhere to go. We have talent, and we need to nurture this talent. But you know what? This is the physical talent, the material talent. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us another talent which we need to nurture, and we will talk about this today. In Surah Al-Mu'minun, verse number 14, Allah says, listen to this ayah carefully. Then we have made the life germ a clot. Then we made the clot a lump of flesh. Then we made in the lump bones. Allah doesn't stop there. He goes on and He says, then we clothed the bones with flesh. Then He says, we caused another creation. Allah is already talking about the creation of the human being. Why does He say, then we caused another creation? That is because after He did all this creation inside the human body, He put something else inside, and that is the spirit. So when Allah says we caused another creation, He is talking about the human spirit, which is totally separate from the human body. Your spirit, my spirit is only inside the body for this transient world. The moment it comes out, it takes another shape, another form. And then Allah says, so blessed be Allah, the best of the creators. Today, if I was a computer engineer, a computer programmer, and I created a software, and I said, my God, this is the best of the software that I have ever created. The best of the software any man has created. It is because there is someone who is good enough to create the best. Do you understand? But here Allah is saying, I am the best of the creators. That means He is telling mankind, I have created you to be the best as well. Why? Because you have been created by the best. Look at the selective words that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chooses in the Holy Quran. Brothers and sisters, you and I are the best of the creations. Why do we ridicule ourselves? And we will talk about that as we go along. Recite a salawat, please. And He says in Surah number 17, verse number 70, and surely we have honored the children of Adam. Allah has honored us now. Then He goes on and He says, and carried them on land and at sea, and we have provided them with good things. We have made them to excel by an appropriate excellence over many of those that we have created. Look at the words Allah is saying. We have made you, mankind, to excel over many of those, not all of those. Allah is calling us the best, but He is the most wise. He says, you are the best of creations that I have done, but at the same time I have only made you excel over many of them, not all of them. Now the question in our head is, if Allah is calling us the best, why are we not excellent over all the creations? Confusing, isn't it? That is because when you and I came out from our mother's womb, the physical body was perfect. Let's say almost perfect, because we are still small, we have to grow. But the physical body is perfect. But Allah says, your soul is not yet perfect. It has to achieve that perfection. That is why you are not better than all of the creations. Until you achieve it, then you will be called the best. Example, Prophet Muhammad, Imam Ali ibn Abu Talib, and all the other Imams and all the other prophets before. They were the best of creations because they knew how to train their souls the way they were supposed to. In Surah number 6, verse number 179, Allah says, they are like animals. Who? You and I. Then He goes, no, they are worse than animals. Why? Because if we do not use our faculties, this spirit that Allah has put inside of us, if we do not use it in the way that we are supposed to, we become worse than animals. Do you know why? Because animals don't have that free will. They do what they are made to do. An animal has to eat, an animal has to drink, sleep and procreate. That's it. And it does that. But human beings, no. They have something else better to achieve.